I'm Brian Williams, and welcome to my new G-Gauge Garden Railway. At only 12 by 14 feet, it may be small in size, but it's big and fun. This past spring, the coronavirus pandemic caused a lot of us to start working from home. Suddenly, I was no longer commuting downtown, and I found myself with an extra hour of free time every day. But how would I spend it?
Well, I decided to try my hand at gardening. Between the watering and weeding, it didn't take too long before I started thinking, hey, wouldn't it be fun to run trains in the garden with my son John? And we could share the hobby with our neighbors by using the side flower bed that's visible from the street.
I had already built a G-scale shelf railroad in my basement some years ago, so the rolling stock was already in hand. But building a garden railroad outdoors was new to me. Then again, how hard could it be?
I started by checking out online articles and videos. There's a lot of great videos out there too, and many are very inspiring. But while they definitely increased my motivation, they didn't quite address my situation. First of all, my ground isn't level like in the videos. The ground drops 13 inches over 12 feet, which would make for a very steep grade. And it's important to keep the track as level as possible to keep trains running smoothly. So I knew that I would have to use a combination of bridges and tunnels. Second, I'm not working with a clear, empty space like many videos start with. My wife planted a lot of flowers over the years that can't be removed. If the railroad was going to happen, I knew that I would have to find a way for it to go around the existing plants. Next, I stopped by my local home improvement store, Menards, to see what resources are available. That's where I found pre-formed bricks specially designed to make a wall or fire pit. It's called a tumbled Belgian, and there are several sizes, shapes, and colors. The ones I picked are 7.3 inches wide, which is enough for G-scale track with 1.6 inch clearance on each side. Best of all, the diameter of the circle created by using the wedge bricks, interspaced with small bricks, is just about 4 feet, the standard G-gauge curve diameter. So it's possible to build the entire railroad without cutting bricks. Back home, I sat down to plan my railway project using Rail Modeler Pro software. I began with a rough sketch of the area, showing the major features to work around, like the porch, driveway, and gas meter. This location is visible from the street, so the garden railroad would become a great conversation starter with my neighbors. And the size is small enough that I can pull the expensive trains and buildings inside between operating sessions and whenever the weather gets bad. Next, I conducted a survey to determine the exact locations of all the features. I chose a fixed reference point, the edge of the porch, and then measured the distance from that point to several other points defining each feature. Using basic geometry, I plotted all these points to create a precise map. Next, I colored the sketch and added the location of the plants. Next, I drew in the bricks that will form the roadbed underneath the tracks. The yard next to the porch is the highest point where the bricks are a single layer thick. Then, in order to keep the track level as the elevation drops, the brick wall roadbed adds more layers. I left gaps in the roadbed for 4 bridges. Bridges are fun. They provide important drainage for rainwater and also open up the brick wall so visitors can see the details beyond. 2 of these are made from inexpensive LGB 5600 truss bridges. The other 2 are trestles made from retired Pola 955 kits. I decided to use LGB track. It's made strong for outdoor use, and has a large assortment of track geometry. Plus, you can find good deals on pre-owned track on eBay. I routed the track around existing flowers and plants, so none of them would have to be removed. This required the use of standard 4-foot diameter starter curves, meaning that I wouldn't be able to operate larger equipment. But my favorite locomotives and cars are mostly short and operate well on tight curves. Next came the placement of the buildings. I like Pola kits. They're detailed, well-made, and have a charm that other manufacturers imitate but rarely achieve. Finally, I drew in a brick path, some new flowers, and the location for landscape lights so that trains can be run at night. Using this plan, I calculated the amount and type of track, bricks, and other materials needed and began ordering them. As for schedule, construction was broken into phases. Phase 1 would be just the track and bridges, just enough to get the trains running by July 4th. Phase 2 would add buildings, lights, and improvements by Halloween. A much-desired tunnel and engine facility were left off as future expansion for next year. With help from my son John, we broke ground on May 13th by first carefully surveying the location of key bricks along the route. Laying the brick roadbed is similar to making a patio. First, lay crushed stone at the base for drainage, then finer aggregate or sand on top to level everything, and lastly, place the bricks. I would spend an hour or so most mornings preparing the roadbed and laying the bricks. At night, I built the bridges. I got to meet a lot of my neighbors about this time, as many were becoming increasingly curious just what this new brick wall was for. Finally, the day of the grand opening arrived, the 4th of July. We decorated the locomotives and bridges with little American flags, played the Star-Spangled Banner, and even held a ribbon-cutting ceremony that morning. The honor of the first run went to the little LGB work train that had been used for testing during the weeks before. Then came another LGB classic, Ward Kimball's famous Chloe, pulling the Grizzly Flats train. Finally, we ran the Kalamazoo Mountain Central. This train's very special to me because it's the train that my family ran around our Christmas tree when I was a young boy. Throughout the summer, we added new buildings, including a castle. As fall set in, the days became shorter, and we began nighttime operations using 12-volt landscape lighting. The buildings are all lit using LEDs powered by the same 12-volt lighting system as well. Running at night has a magical feeling. The lights really bring out the different character in the trains and the buildings.
Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. And maybe you feel a little motivation now to start to build a garden railway of your very own. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on my Flickr page. And happy railroading!